do with employment. Some of it will be to do with, as I said before, the fact that people are not allowed to do overtime that they might wish to do. You know, the very truck drivers we were hearing about earlier on tell me that they're really angry that they can't do overtime often. The fact of the matter is, however, there's a lot of legislation that has nothing to do with employment rights whatsoever that causes cost to business. And that legislation can be, you know, very pernickety stuff. The Ergonomics Directive, for example, requires the businesses, small businesses, to keep a ledger of checks on the positioning of computer screens and chairs in the office. You know, that sort of stuff, it's an employment legislation, that sort of stuff, the bureaucracy surrounding that sort of stuff is a cost to business. But the business costs are legion, not necessarily in relation to employment rights.
Francis, I'll give you the...
I wonder if you could say a bit more about how you see the overall total, but then particularly to Carolyn, to what extent has the CBI examined the opportunities which may exist to reduce the burden of regulation and the costs on business and improve our competitiveness? And are you working on an analysis to present to government for potential repeal or reduction? And to Francis O'Grady, I quite understand that the TUC is going to fight to protect employment protection rights, and you've made that very clear. But to what extent do you see that there are regulations imposed from Europe which are increasing costs and therefore potentially destroying jobs in this country, which are completely have nothing to do with employment rights, or in other areas for which it is very difficult to see any justification at all? And I wonder if the TUC has looked at that.
Shall I start? Okay. I mean, the first thing I would say in answer to your question is, if we come to the conclusion that in order for the UK to leave the European Union, we have to leave the internal market and the customs union, and that in any event, in order to crystallise the enormous benefits that Brexit will provide, we have to leave the internal market and the customs union, then we're in danger of wasting a lot of time in government in negotiations in the next 18 months, when what we should be doing is actually directing Whitehall to spend time having conversations to create trade deals and to actually draw up a short list of regulations that can be removed on Brexit Day +1 and thus crystallise part of those benefits. That's what we really should be spending the next 18 months doing. If the government make it clear that the direction of travel is that they're minded to leave the internal market and the customs union, then business will have 18 months in which to plan for that, and there will not be a need for any transitional arrangements after the event. That's what we should actually be doing in order to crystallise the benefits of deregulation. The opportunities for deregulation are legion. I'll just give you another, what you might, amusing example. We had a manufacturer of smoked salmon that had to relabel the smoked salmon that they were producing because the European Union required that manufacturer to put on the label may contain fish. Now that's actually a cost to that business, a considerable cost, because they have to produce new artwork, they have to employ people to make sure that it's actually put in the right place on the pack and in the right format, and then they have to actually produce the actual packaging. That sort of stuff happens all the time in European legislation, and when we have control of our own affairs, we can choose what we want to do, and it will